This is an ABP Live Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm Aabir Lahiry. You are listening to me on ABP Live Podcast. I would love to start the interview with a little piece of anecdote. We are approaching the 75th year of independence, and ABP Live Podcast is presenting a series of audio poetries and stories depicting the 75 golden years of India. And this brings me to the year 1988. That year is dedicated to this gentleman whom I'm in conversation with today, Vishy Anand, popularly known as Vishy Anand. Mr. Viswanathan Anand, how are you?
I'm doing good. As you know, we had one of the biggest chess events in the world, the Chess Olympiad,
Yes.
which finished just a couple of days back. So I'm back home, kind of having a few quiet days. And
After killing a lot of horses, you're back into the den.
Absolutely.
Sir, you are coming up with a book. Rather, the book is already in the market. It's called Mind Master. I would love to know what exactly is behind the story of this book.
It's an autobiography. The structure we follow is not chronological.
Okay.
But so we start off with an experience in 1 year, then sometimes we go back earlier, we go back. So there's a bit of back and forth.
Okay.
And it's written as my life lessons from these experiences. In a way, it allows us to take significant moments and explore the thoughts behind them and then connect the dots as we go along.
Okay.
It's my autobiography written. I hope that a non-chess player will understand what a chess player's life is like. But I also hope a chess player will be able to look at the book and think, I did not know that before. So hopefully manage to balance that out.
I don't know where I do fall in which category I fall in, but I am one of those who has always been defeated. So I'm certainly not in the second category.
Okay.
Sir, I always was curious to know and would want to know what was the life before 1988. The day you became the Grandmaster, everybody knew that there is Vishy Anand, and the entire game of chess actually transformed till today. But how was your life before 1988? Will we see that, read that in the book?
Yes, there are quite a few chapters on that, and like I said, it is still an autobiography. It's just, and we return to my early days a lot. Before that, I was an international master for 3 years, trying to become a grandmaster. Before that, I was a junior player trying to break into the top. There's a little bit of all that. We talk about my childhood, my school, and simply what it was like to be a sportsman in those days.
When did this actually thought came into mind, or was it like somebody actually forced you into a chess class and then it became a passion and then you chased it, or was it the other way around?
It wasn't force. I saw my elder brother and sister playing chess, and so I went to my mother and pestered her, can you teach me as well? And I was lucky, as I later realized, to have a mother who could teach me, because the biggest challenge is sometimes finding someone who can teach you the game, to get you introduced. Now, with the internet and phones, it's very easy. You just go to an app and it teaches you. But back in those days, that was a big first step.
Sir, when you became the first Grandmaster, the count was 1. Today, we are sitting at 67. I guess India has witnessed 67 Grandmasters in all these years. What do you see has fundamentally changed? How did you see that journey phase out from 1988 to we are sitting on 2022?
Yes. 1987 December, I completed my requirements. 88, I got the title. Barua was the second GM a couple of years later. We were at 6 Grandmasters after 14 years. And by the way, the number is now 75.
Okay,
so it's going very fast. But that's the thing. Every day, some youngster becomes a Grandmaster, and it's happening faster and faster. So our numbers get out of date very quickly as well. The vast majority of our Grandmasters probably became Grandmasters in the last 10 years, just to give you some idea. So it's not been a smooth thing. It's recently that it's really picked up steam. But it's also influenced by the fact that many of the first Grandmasters then set up academies, got the next generation interested, and that's how it's going. But India is becoming a major power in chess.
How do you see it growing? What kind of new things can we do in the entire infrastructure which can actually manifoldly increase this number? And bring a community of players more than that.
Yes, well, in India, it's fair to say that chess is a reasonably big sport, major sport with a lot of people who play, a lot of people who watch and all that. Having said that, we still can expand it a lot. I mean, India is such a big country that there are areas, typically a lot of the northern states still don't have such a strong chess culture like the south or the east, Maharashtra. So it's uneven.
Yeah.
And the second thing is we have the same problem. How to increase girls? How do we get more girls into the game? How do we get women into the game? So there's a lot of scope for growth, especially getting more and more youngsters into the game. I think is the biggest challenge right now.
Sir, you have mentioned about how you used to write your thoughts after every match. But I still want to peep into that diary, seeking answers to the question like, how do you keep a balance between so much stress, which is a game, and a personal life and a professional life? And obviously, with the huge name comes a lot of fame, comes a lot of responsibility. How do you take care of your mental health in all these situations?
First of all, you get better at it as time goes by. You realize that you can improve this, you can improve that. But mostly it's about your feelings. As long as you have some perspective of where you are, then the fame, the demands on your time and all are accepted. I mean, you have to remind yourself this is what you wanted. You asked for it.
Yeah.
Nobody forced you to get there. As a sports person, I think you have to appreciate that you have fans, the people interested in you, because that's clearly the name of the game. There are times it feels like too much, but nonetheless, I think, have to have a sense of gratitude as well.
Yeah, you chased that dream. That was the dream somewhere down the line.
Yes. And you do want people to follow the game.
Agreed.
It's just not all at the same time with you. But
Agreed.
the stress is something you have to manage, because it's a critical managing your stress, learning how to deal with it, how to channel it. All that is very important for your sport itself. You will not play the game well if you can't deal with stress. It'll take a toll very quickly on your chess.
So chess is known as a buddhi ka game. You need a lot of brain, you need a lot of wisdom. I don't know, what do you call it? Intellect. A guy like me who has nothing of this, can he still learn to play chess?
Chess is something you become good at. It's not something you're born with. Of course, there are certain people who have a certain aptitude. And in the book, I discuss this a fair amount. But equally, chess is something you practice, you get better at. And it's about studying, looking at other people's games, trying to make the connections, practicing often, and you get better at it. So I think actually it's a universal game. Anybody can play it, get better at it. It isn't correct that it's a game that doesn't suit you or something. I'm sure you could be good at it, if you practice often and so on. In fact, it's the other way. You become good at it because you spend time on it.
Sir, in all these years, I'm sure about this fact that this is also a pressure-filled game. You are in an immense pressure when you are playing the game. Has there been a time where you are facing that pressure? And obviously, when you are young, you actually slog your brain day in, day out into the game. Has there been a point where it has actually hit the breaking point? Ki, ab nahi ho raha yaar.
Yes, my book talks about a lot of those critical moments. And the thing is, as you mentioned, there is a lot of stress inside. You're holding it inside, but there is no obvious release. You can't run around the pitch. You can't scream. You can't do anything. So a lot of the obvious outlets are not there. So what you have to do is hold your breath, focus. You remind yourself that your opponent is thing. You can put yourself in the situation before the game. You can tell yourself, at a certain point, I'll be very stressed. How do I deal with it last time? Last time, I didn't do it very well. But that's what went wrong. And then at move 40, I started to get irritated with myself, and then I made a blunder. How do I avoid this? So you're constantly comparing situations and going back and forth. And this visualization is very important. You imagine yourself at the game. You think, if I face this at the board, will I cope well? That sort of thing.
Do you do meditation? Do you practice meditation? Have you ever tried that?
Meditation.
Not from the
I do a lot
religious
of breathing.
Not from the religious point of view.
No, I understand. I understand your question. In a sense, you can say my visualization is a kind of meditation. You're thinking about the problem and putting yourself in it and so on.
Yeah.
I do a lot of breathing to relax,
Yeah.
but I've not actually tried meditation that much.
Sir, you have like given some kind of a revolution to all the black and white boxes, 64 black and white boxes in front of us. I remember I first was introduced to chess because there was somebody like Viswanathan Anand. And that is the reason it became so popular. That is the reason it became so mainstream. When you look back to those years, what is the learning you take from it? What is, I'm sure it's a happy moment for you. You also have a great, like a beautiful smile on your face looking at all those years. But what is the outcome? What is the learning you have seen ki aise badala pura India?
First of all, that learning never stops. It's not like there are problems that. What is surprising is the number of mistakes I make that I made when I was 9 years old, and I'm still making them today. You always get the same situation in a slightly different way, so you cannot just copy your old solution. But in a sense, as a person, you don't change that much. So if you get angry about something, you'll get angry about it 20 years later. If you are happy, if something makes you happy, it'll probably make you happy 20 years later. That kind of thing. My learning is that you have to be willing to force yourself to learn new things. If there are new conclusions that contradict what you did, I think one of the biggest skills is learning that. And the problem in chess is, thanks to technology and on, we are forced to do this almost all the time. So it becomes a skill that you need.
Yeah.
Equally, I think it's very important to know, to understand yourself. How do you feel? How do you feel when things go wrong? Then you can see it coming. You can think, I'm starting to feel what I normally feel so that I'm getting, it could be that I'm getting excited that I have a good position. And I say, wait, last time when I got excited, I stopped concentrating, I started dreaming. I must stop that. Like that, these are the understanding yourself and learning new things, I think, are the main thing you can do.
Sir, Mind Master is somebody who controls his mind and has the power to control a lot of things. But after all these years, do you still feel कि कुछ ऐसा है which you are even not able to master now?
Mind Master, the book is about a person who tries to be a mind master and doesn't come close. So it's actually, the whole book is written and to say that even when it looks from the outside that everything went brilliantly, the tournament went brilliantly, to say that inside I felt these 10 crazy, scary moments and I didn't know how to deal with it. So Mind Master is really a book about somebody who's not succeeding, but is getting better at it, making fewer mistakes. And that's what the improvement is.
How do you practice humbleness?
I don't practice it. I think my parents brought me up in a certain way. And you learn, you see how people react to you. But most of the time, I'm grateful that people are nice to me, and I try to reciprocate. And the most important thing, I think, is your family and so on. If people around you who know you well, they treat you differently, you'll start to think you have become a better person or something. But if they treat you like they always did, that helps you keep stable.
For them, you are just Vishy. You are not the GM Viswanathan Anand. For them, you are still the...
Exactly. With my parents, my wife, my son, nothing changes. Equally, my classmates. For them, I will never change. You'll always be this... go back. So that
you'll
kind
always
of helps
be the subject of jokes. You'll always be the subject of
absolutely.
fun.
So that never changes in that way.
That's true. Sir, we are entering the 75th year of Indian independence. Mm-hmm. After 25 years, it will be 100 odd years of India's independence, 2047. How do you see, or what is your vision? What is your picture? Hypothetically, if you want to imagine a very beautiful India, or maybe a India of Vishy Anand's dream, what kind of an India you want to see at 47?
Obviously, the main thing is all our people, that our growth path continues, that our development continues. The most important thing maybe is that everyone has something to eat, everyone has somewhere to stay, everyone has water. So these basic things must be met. But I would really like to see India achieve that without losing its nature, its trees, its animals. That's quite important for me. I really feel that if this growth comes too fast, it's almost it's too high a price. I love our wildlife. We go very often to see. So I'd like to keep that. Equally, I'd like to keep our cultural traditions. And so for me, being a great power is not that important. if it's a way of getting these other things, then fine. I mean, I have no objection to it, but I think the real goal is that we should have people with a certain amount of opportunity, a certain amount of quality of life, and that I think would be the greatest accomplishment for us.
So true. So since you mentioned about the nature and how you go for expeditions, which was your last expedition? Where did you go? How was the experience?
Okay, last year in November, we went to a place called Jamtara, which is a wildlife camp in Penj, the Tiger Reserve, and we enjoyed it a lot.
Wow.
There's something very peaceful of being in these forests for a few days. You go every morning at 4 a.m. because that's the best chance to see them. And we drive somewhere, they switch off the jeep, you just listen to bird sounds and this thing. And that's all. That's very nice. So we do a lot of wildlife tourism.
Where did you go from? You went from Jabalpur?
No, we flew to Nagpur and drove from there.
Oh.
This is on the other side of Penj.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a big park and so on. But before we went to Bandhavgarh many years ago and then came back via Jabalpur from there. So that is
Jabalpur. I'm born and raised in Jabalpur, so it
right.
into my mind. Oh wow.
Once when we came back from Jamshedpur, from Bandhavgarh, we had to come from that. So
wow, so cool, sir. Sir, thank you very much for having this conversation with me on ABP Live Podcast. My last a small request to you: what is your message to all those people out there who chase you, who follow you, who loves you like anything? What is your message to all those people?
I'm very grateful for your love and for your support. And I want to wish you all the best. And just remember, whatever you want to be good at, just practice it a lot and you will get better at it.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having this conversation. Thank you, Vishy sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks a lot.
Bye. Ta-da.
Nice time. Thanks. Bye.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव बनेगा मानवता का महोत्सव. Join hands with ABP Network and the Robin Hood Army in our Mission 75. Under this mission, we will serve 75 lakh meals to the needy across the country and transform 75 lives. तो अगर आप जुड़ना चाहेंगे हमारी इस मुहिम के साथ, ड्रॉप कीजिए एक मैसेज ऑन द व्हाट्सएप नंबर 918971966164. Wishing you all a very happy 75th Independence Day.
This is an ABP Live Podcast.